A couple weeks ago, the folks over at Turcom sent me their latest entry-level drawing tablet to try out. It's called the TS-6580 and it's aimed at beginners. So it most closely parallels the Wacom Intuos Draw tablet. When I unboxed it, the device came with a CD and some instructions. The instructions worked out fine, but I didn't even bother using the CD. Oftentimes what happens with these kind of drawing tablets is the CD could have been pressed a year ago, 6 months ago. I just go directly to the site and download the most recent drivers and run with it. I also don't own a computer with the CD-ROM, so that slows me down too. Now when I installed it, I found out that it uses Huion drivers and it's very similar to an older tablet called the Huion 8x5-inch drawing tablet. It looks identical, but the price is a little bit lower on the Turcom. Now I did check Amazon and some of the reviews for this product said that the drivers weren't that good. Now some of those reviews were also about 2 years old, so I see that I had no problem, and it's one of those things that they probably improved the drivers, since the product originally came out. The active area on the tablet is 8 inches by 5 inches, and there's 2,048 levels of pressure sensitivity to the stylus. Now it comes in either black or white. I of course chose black to match the color of my soul. Just kidding. Just about the color of my soul. The tablet is black, you can see. And there are no quick launch buttons like there are on some of the Wacom Intuos tablet. That didn't bother me at all. I didn't miss them. I don't really use buttons all that much on the smaller tablets, mostly because my keyboard's set over here and my tablet is on this side, and so since it's a smaller tablet, it fits nicely next to my keyboard. I don't have to move the keyboard out of the way to use it. The pen itself uses a AAA battery, which gives the pen a little bit of weight, which I kind of like. And the pen comes with this handy little stand. You can open the stand and find some extra nibs that they've included as well. I don't really use the stand all that much. I put it off to the side because of the way the buttons are and the way it is weighted. I've never had any problem with it rolling away, so it sits fine on my desk by itself. Now that we got all those specs out of the way, I want to talk about drawing. I should start out by confessing that I am terrible at drawing on drawing tablets that do not have screens. And that's the kind of drawing tablet that this is. Your eyes are kind of focused in on the monitor and your hand is off to the side drawing while you're looking at the monitor. So it takes a little bit of practice, and I did get better as the weeks went on. For doing my everyday design work, photo touching, cropping out images, and that sort of thing, I thought it was great, and I took to it right away. Now, one thing with these third-party tablets you often hear about is that the driver support isn't that good. It uses Huion drivers, like I mentioned before, and I installed it on both Windows and a Mac. I was using Windows 8, and it worked fine on both of those devices. Now, since I started on a Mac, I initially felt that the pressure was a little too sensitive for my taste, especially when I'm drawing rounded objects. I tend to come around the bottom of the curve and I naturally apply slightly more pressure to pens when I kind of hit the bottom of the circle and go back around than when I do on upstrokes. And since the pressure levels or the pressure curve on it is really strong on the Mac, my lines got really dark and really thick when I was using it that way. I jumped into the settings and there is a way to adjust the pressure sensitivity, but it's not a curve, it's a straight line. That means that it's affected by how hard you press before you start to get a line, but once you get a line, I found that it only took a tiny bit of pressure to make that line, extra thick, or that pressure was just applied way too fast for my taste. I want to be able to hold that consistent stroke width through the entire motion, especially when drawing something round or going up on an upstroke. And so to me, the range of sensitivity on that pressure is just a little too tight. Now, on Windows, it was a different story. I found that the pressure sensitivity was pretty much exactly the way I wanted it to feel, right out of the box. So I was a little surprised at the difference between Mac drivers and Windows drivers and how the pen functions on those separate OSs. Another side note is lately I've been doing a lot of clicking with my mouse hand. I've been drawing a lot of vector stuff. And so my hand gets tired and sore as the day goes on just by using a mouse all the time. And since what this really is a fancy mouse interface, is I've used it for several days to replace my mouse, and it's really kind of, helped my hand out. There was one little downside to using it as a mouse, and that is that it couldn't go all the way down to the bottom of my screen. It was off by a pixel or two, so it couldn't activate that little menu bar that pops up with all the little icons on it on my Mac. Now the tablet goes for about $40, which might make it the cheapest drawing tablet that you can find out there, at least for a new one. And the folks over at Turcom have given me a discount code, which is down below in the description. So if you want to get a couple bucks off that, that's available to you too. It's literally half the price of the closest Wacom competitor. Now the folks at Turcom emphasized to me that this is really a tablet that's aimed at beginners, and I can see where they're coming from. If you're replacing an existing drawing tablet like an Intuos Pro or something like that, you're probably going to want to go for something like a little bit higher end, but if you're just getting into illustration or just getting into digital drawing, this is a really good option if you're on a PC. If you're on a Mac, I would probably hold off, maybe go for something a little higher end, just because of the pressure sensitivity was a little too touchy on that pen. But on the PC, I thought it was a really nice tablet. So those are kind of my impressions, my review. If you have any questions that I didn't cover here, let me know down in the comments, hit me up on Twitter, and I'll see you in a week or two.